Meanwhile, Douglas, Keir Starmer continues to obsess about the threat from the so-called far right. Now, Nigel Farage's Reform Party had a stunning result at council and by-elections on Thursday. The party has now taken control of 10 local councils, won 2 mayoral races and added a 5th MP to its ranks. Farage is hailing Reform's triumph as unprecedented. He says it's the end of the two-party rule in the UK. Is he right? He is taking votes from Labor and the Tories, Douglas.
Well, Nigel Farage has done this before, of course. He led the Brexit Party and indeed UKIP to stunning electoral successes, principally back then in the European Parliament when Britain was still a member of the EU. So there are two things I think people have to bear in mind when they look at these elections. One is that they are local elections. Turnout tends to be low, and it tends to be the case that people punish incumbent parties. So that's definitely the case. It was an undoubtedly successful night for Reform. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that Reform can see that through at a general election. As you know, Rita, the whole setup, and as Nigel Farage knows better than anyone, the whole setup of the first past the post system, which is intended to give strong governments and sometimes does. But the whole point of it really is that an insurgent party like those that Nigel Farage has led for some 30 years now it is effectively, it's very hard at general elections to break through. You see the number of votes that were needed or the number of votes that happened at the last general election per Reform MP as opposed to the number of votes per Labour MP. And I mean, it's way off. So we'll see. There are, of course, more than 4 years to go till the next general election in the UK. The problem that Farage obviously poses principally is not to Labour, although it definitely does chip away at Labour's vote and did do here. The principal threat is to the Conservative Party. If the Conservative Party cannot see off threat from Farage and Reform, then they really don't deserve to exist. But it should be possible for the Conservative Party to see them off. It's just that the Conservative Party has to, first of all, have policies that can outflank Nigel Farage's policies. And secondly, of course, to find some way back into the public trust after 13, 14 years of Conservative governments, for instance, saying that they were going to lower migration while seeing migration go through the roof. It'll take quite a long time for the electorate to forgive the Conservative Party for that, I think. But the Conservative Party will have to address that question, and it'll have to do so much faster than they're doing at the moment.
Now, Douglas, I can't wait to get your take on this bizarre interaction involving the BBC chairman, Samir Shah, who is asked whether Hamas are terrorists. Now, much frivolity and squirming and giggling follows.
One last question. Just for you as an individual, Samir, do you consider Hamas to be a terrorist group?
I have to answer that in terms of the way we currently view it.
What do you think they are? Do you think they're a convocation of happy little squirrels?
I don't think that. I don't think that. But I'm here as the chairman of the BBC.
I know you are, but you're also here as Samir Shah. You exist as an individual entity.
I can tell you what I think when I'm Samir Shah. Right now, talking to the world, I am the chairman of the BBC, and we have taken the view as a board that we continue to use the word terrorist only with attribution. That's the position we take.
I think
although
I think you think they're terrorists, Samir.
Douglas, if he thinks they're terrorists, then why doesn't he say so? I would hardly think it's a controversial opinion.
Isn't it bizarre, Rita? I mean, it's not hard to call Hamas terrorists, not just because they are, but because they're designated as such in the UK and most other Western countries. I mean, what's so difficult about that? I think really what we see there, I couldn't quite believe the sort of jolly squirming of Samir Shah on that. I mean, you know, he's talking about people who have been busily murdering other Palestinians in recent days and who, of course, for years have tried to commit genocide against the Jewish people and say they want to wipe the Jewish people off the face of the earth and everyone else next. Now, I mean, I can't see why any of that is such a sort of squirmingly funny matter to Samir Shah. I'd like to see him laugh his way through an interview about any other genocidal group that wanted to wipe out any organization or group of people from the face of the earth. It's very, very strange behavior. All I can think of is that Samir Shah, the chairman of the BBC, is trying to squirm out of that because he's aware of the number of his colleagues or employees underneath him at the BBC who think that Hamas are some kind of liberationist movement who shouldn't be smeared with the terrorist label. And that if Samir Shah, is too strict about saying that Hamas are terrorists, then he'll have hell to pay from the newsroom floor and from junior reporters and junior editors and so on. It's really quite despicable. It's not a difficult one, that, at all. But yes, I mean, it tells us about what he's swimming in at the BBC, that is a difficult question to answer. I'd love to see him do it on any other group, as I say. I mean, I don't know if he finds Al-Qaeda as chortlingly funny as he does Hamas or ISIS or anyone else. But it tells you an awful lot about the way in which the BBC just contorts itself on these really quite straightforward questions. But yeah, I completely recognize the thing he's swimming in. It's a newsroom and an organization that finds it incredibly hard to actually call Hamas what they call themselves.
That I think he would have taken far more seriously a question like, can a woman have a penis? Because he wouldn't want to be laughing at that. That would be a very serious, sober analysis. Before you go, Douglas, I have to get your take on Prince Harry's latest media interview. He's sat down and again moaned about the state of the relationship with his family. He says King Charles will not take his calls, and Prince Harry apparently is desperate for reconciliation, but King Charles is rejecting efforts to reconcile. Why do you think that is?
It's really pitiful, I have to say, Rita. Very sad. Prince Harry, as I've said to you before, had a great opportunity when he turned his life around, joined the British Army, and served with distinction in Afghanistan. He had a real chance to make a hell of a go of it with his life, and to be a role model and to encourage other people, including other young men who may have lost their way, to find themselves on a good path. And then he veered way off it. And, now when he says that members of his family don't want to take his calls, I mean, it's very hard to know whether he realizes why that might be. Because the reason it might be is that whenever any member of his family speaks to him, they might find what they said either written up in another book or relayed in interviews with the BBC and other channels. So, it's a very peculiar thing that's going on in Prince Harry's head, and I feel very sorry for him if he can't grasp this. If people around you know that you're likely to run and broadcast what they say in private to the world, then yeah, they might be reticent in speaking to you. And the way to mend that isn't to go on television and relay the fact that they're not speaking to you at the moment. I mean, if he said, I want to reconcile with my father and I'll do anything it requires, but I think it should be done away from the cameras and without any spare volume 2s or anything like that, and there'll be no cooking shows involved. It's just a family matter. If he did that, maybe he could actually make this reunion that he wants. But this is the worst way to go about it. I can't imagine who is actually advising Prince Harry other than possibly for his wife, because I think only she could give him PR advice this bad.
I think it is Meghan. I mean, this is straight from her playbook, it seems, to go to the media, to whine about something that is just going to make that problem far worse. And is now claiming that they never claimed the royal family or any members of it were racist. I mean, they're trying to completely rewrite history and memory hold that Oprah interview. Douglas Murray, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time tonight.
Great to see you, Rita. Thank you.